anyways, hey, what's guys, this is my friend Captain Diaz back with another video, and this time on we are talking about the OIS and the EIS. These are the two models which are available on most of the smartphones for taking the videos. EIS known as the electronic image stabilization, OIS known as the optical image stabilization. Mostly they are available in budget or kind of see even in the flagship type of smartphones. But what is OIS and EIS? Which one is better? You might be also getting confusion that EIS might be a helpful one, OIS might be helpful one on some of the factors. Both are having its own way of advantages and both are having its own way of limitations. There are some things with the OIS which makes it more powerful, and with the EIS which makes it even more powerful. We're gonna be talking about each and everything in this today's video. So without any further ado, let's get started. At first glance, if you want to understand what is OIS and EIS, you need to understand what is image stabilization. So when you take a single photo, there are different types of angles which each and every smartphones nowadays take photos at different angles. And to optimize the shakiness and each and everything, they try to manipulate a proper and clear image stabilized photo to you. This all things happen in a single snapshot shutter, which each and everything does in a single frame. This all things is really important to take a single end photo, which our processors and each and everything is been so capable of doing nowadays, so that our photos and each and everything looks really crispier. And same goes for the videos, or you can say different types of photos, such as when it comes to the portrait photos, there are some effects. Sometimes if you take even in a flagship, or you can say sometimes if you take in a flagship DSLR cameras, then sometimes there might be a glare or something like that, which makes sure its own way of topics and stuff like that. But apart from that, there's OIS and stuff, and does a lot of processing and stuff like that on the top of your photo, so that it makes sure that you got a really crystal clear image, no matter if it's a DSLR or currently the flagship smartphones. This image stabilization has been so improvised from a really long time, and it is a really important factor to make sure that the video, images and each and everything is really stable to take out your photo or even your videos. So what is firstly electronic image stabilization, which is also known as EIS? Available in most of our budget-based smartphones and available in most of our mid-range smartphones, this EIS is basically, you can say, a software-related type of image stabilization. It takes a lot of time to get enhanced, and it also overcomes with the processor. Basically, it makes at a really high-end peak of our processor. In some sort of budget-based smartphones, this EIS is kind of a typical thing. The typical thing about the EIS is basically it's relying a lot upon the software and stuff like that. The EIS doesn't works upon your normal and photos. See, EIS is only a completely separated for the only videography, while when it comes to the photography and stuff like that, EIS doesn't make any sense on the top. Basically, if you are using a 48 megapixel sensor, or you can say 50 megapixel, 64 megapixel, 108 megapixel, and if that sensor is having a EIS and stuff like that, it takes a time to snapshot that photo, and in between if you move your hand or create some sort of shakiness, then the photo might get distorted or a bit of blurry in that sense. Apart from that, when you are taking a night photos, the EIS also doesn't make any sense, and it takes a long time to process its stuff. But there are some advantages. Since it's a software related stuff, it is easily available in most of the smartphones, and it can be easily accessed. Most of the smartphones are been so pushing EIS at a really good pick, so that a person can get a bit of stabilized videography and stuff like that. But you can't get a really good quality image stabilization in a budget based smartphone. There needs a bit of optimization and stuff like that. And since it's a software based, the cameras and each and everything has been so fixed, and it is been so focused in that sector, so it is kind of having its own way of advantages and some sort of limitations. The advantages are as follows: is basically it's easily available and it's cheap. Basically, it is based upon the software. That's why it is available in most of the budget based smartphones and also in some of the action based smartphones. The action based smartphones are basically not the action based smartphones, the action cameras, which comes under the 5K with the 4K recording, under 6K, 7K with the some sort of high end resolution and stuff like that. They don't have actually OIS, which the GoPros, or you can see another Insta360 and stuff like that, are been so having and well optimized for their devices. That's why the budget action cameras have been so different while comparing with the flagship action cameras and stuff like that. In In that notes, basically there is Insta360 and also the GoPro Hero series is too. When it comes to the OIS, or you can say optical image stabilization, there is a bit of difference and there are a lot of improvements. The OIS is basically available on the actual physical camera, which makes a lot of sense in taking out some of the photos and some of the things, which makes a lot of sense. Sometimes in my overview and stuff like that, I have told that the ultra wide sensors aren't having OIS and stuff like that. Basically, when you take an ultra wide photo in most of the smartphones, sometimes the edges and each and everything makes a bit of tint, or you can see a black shadow, or sometimes a bit of blurriness around the corners, which makes a lot of sense. Since the ultra wide sensor isn't having OIS, the shakiness can't be seen in a lot of flagship based smartphones. OIS is basically, since it is available on the actual camera itself, I'm talking about if the 64 megapixel sensor is there with the OIS, then the actual camera is having, the physical camera itself is having the OIS inside of it. It's not a software based stuff, or not even anything which is which can be pushed with the software update or stuff like that, not even the EIS. Also, apart from that, there is a bit of advantages over here. When you take the photo with the OIS camera based smartphones, they actually take photos with the OIS too. So sometimes if you are having a 64 megapixel turned on, it will take a photo with the OIS and make sure a bit of shakiness if it has received, it won't be able to capture that out, which makes a lot of sense. Now you might be thinking that currently the action modes and stuff like that, which has been came up in the iPhones and most of the flagship based smartphones, which makes a OIS go a bit of different. See, it's different technology. It is having a lot of optimization on the top, and a lot of things has been stabilized for the cameras. I'll be getting that in a bit, but apart from the advantages, there is one big limitation over the OIS. OIS is basically a bit of expensive, so sometimes it doesn't comes in a mid range, or even in the kind of say extreme high end mid range smartphones. If your phone has a OIS, then it will take a good videography and also good photos too. But apart from that, OIS is also a gimmicky stuff. Sometimes the brand put OIS, but it is not so optimized with the software, so it creates a bit of shakiness and stuff on the top of it. And if you travel a lot on your two-wheelers, or you can see bikes, motorbikes and stuff like that, and if you use it as a map based smartphone with the which one is having a OIS, then if you have a lot of stutters in between while driving, definitely you will be having one. So do the OIS camera shakes itself, and sometimes you have to lose your actual camera's OIS, which is kind of having a limitation in some of the budget, mid-range, and even in sometimes the flagship smartphones if your luck isn't that. Let's talk about the action mode and stuff like that. See, this action mode and stuff isn't any new for a smartphone. There were a lot of smartphones which was been so dedicating a lot of things for the actual cameras and stuff, and the action mode has been optimized really nicely. The cinematic mode, each and everything is really well optimized with the operating system OS, and OIS plus OS, if it is really well optimized, then each and everything makes a lot of sense. See, the experience and each and everything makes a lot of sense when it comes to OIS and EIS, and even the smartphone's experience, post experience stuff. But when it comes to a lot of Android phones, there are a lot of fake action modes and stuff like that, which is the kind of a different and kind of a bit of gimmicky in their own words. But apart from that, if you download any third party application which says that we are having a lot of high quality, see, there are some good options available on the Play Store and the App Store, but there are some fake options which doesn't make any sense. They are having a lack of capabilities and stuff, and they takes a lot of different types of scenarios when it comes to a normal and photographer user. So there are good options out there. I'm not targeting each and everyone. There is a lot of good applications which have a lot of well to do stuff on their top of it, but there are some really unusable applications which have a lot of ads, a lot of bugs in between of them, so ignore those out. Let's talk about the difference, the big major differences between OIS and the EIS. See, firstly, the mechanism. EIS, since it's a software based, it is cheaper and easily available, while the OIS is a physical actual component which makes a lot of sense for the user. Apart from their effectiveness, OIS is generally more effective. Basically, when it comes to the taking photos, videos and stuff like that, OIS makes a lot of sense, while EIS is basically limited to a lot of cropping and doing a lot of pre-video editing and stuff like that on the top of it. If you take a photo, if you take a video in the EIS, then afterwards you might be thinking that it is bit of cropped up and it feels a lot of zoomed in type of images. Apart from that, the device capability, OIS is often dedicated for a high-end DSLRs and flagship smartphones, while EIS, since it's a software, it's cheaper and available in most of the budget type of smartphones, not the extreme budget but a budget, which is higher end budget and a mid of budget type of smartphones. So yeah, if you think that I made you a lot of confusion, see, OIS is available in most of the budget, not the budget, but a mid-range, higher mid-range, and the flagship tier smartphones. And EIS is basically, since it's a software base, it can't be having a lot of capabilities. But EIS is the cheaper option, but still it can stabilize some of the simple shakiness and stutters in between. Apart from that, both are having its own way of goodies and own way of advantages and disadvantages, and each and every one is available in most of the smartphones. But when it comes to the extreme budget, it is not that. So yeah, it has its own way of talking. But yeah, what do you think about the OIS and EIS? Let us know in the comment section down below. And if you have used the OIS and EIS, what was your first experience and stuff like that, also let us know in the comment section down below. By the time this is Captain Diaz, you're watching Chaos and Diaz, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, want to be appreciating our work, and stay safe, stay connected. Peace out.